Ooh, praise the Lord, my beautiful blessed souls. Oh, we back with warfare. I think this is 7. We're going to get into the spirit of Ahab and Jezebel, which they kind of go together, and the spirit of infirmity, because we've heard a lot about those spirits, and we're going to break them down, and we're going to combo about them, okay? So, one, we're going to go into the story about Jezebel and Ahab. It's actually in First Kings, and I'm going to read and we're going to get through it. It says, King Ahab and Queen Jezebel served as leaders of the northern kingdom of Israel during a time of much evil in the land. King Ahab was an Israelite king who married a Sidonian woman named Jezebel and she became involved in Baal worship. I guess both of them. Now remember, Baal is which I didn't want to get into him just yet, but since we're on this, he was a Canaanite deity. Remember, they were not allowed to deal with Canaanites because remember, Cain killed Abel and those were his descendants. Baal was worshipped as the god of fertility, rain, and agriculture. His cult included ritual sex, child sacrifice, and ecstatic worship practices. We see that going on now. Biblical opposition. Prophets like Elijah confronted Baal worship head on, most famously in 1 Kings 18, where the fire from heaven exposed the impotence of Baal's prophets, meaning the ones he had. That's when they had the showdown with the rain and the water and the sacrifice beasts, So, spiritual archetype in modern theology, Baal represents rebellion against divine order, especially through seduction, manipulation, and counterfeit worship. So, see that a lot. Traits of the spirit of Baal: covenant breaking. Baal seduces believers into forsaking their spiritual commitments, often through emotional or sensual entanglements. Self-idolatry, as explored in the altar of Baal. Self-idolatry, spiritual bondage. Baal encouraged worship of self, success, and or pleasure over submission to God. Generational bondage, cycle of Baal, spiritual warfare, back to Baal, pastor, shows how Baal's influence can cycle through families, cultures. Okay, hold on. False altars and spiritual confusion. Baal's altars are seductive. They look sacred but lead to spiritual death. This is, okay. Breaking free and deliverance from and restoration from these is divorcing the spirit of Baal, which is got to offer a prophetic call to renounce false covenants and realign with Christ. You renounce, you denounce, you cancel, you bind. Life after deliverance, the spirit of Baal shares testimony. Okay, showing deliverance, Baal, restored identity and spiritual clarity. Freedom for Baal. Okay. Baal is more than a name. It is a spiritual system that opposes divine governance and seduces through counterfeit power, meaning giving your deep. Okay. So that's like we see all these worships of all these other idols. That's, one of them. But I just wanted to break that down really quickly and then we can get on. Okay. So where was I? So we see why Baal worship was not good. So now, and this was the god of her people. So Ahab built a house to Baal in the capital city of Samaria and made Asherah pole as a tool of pagan worship. What is that? I'm going to look it up. Asherah pole. And let's see what that means. Because I didn't, so let's look it up. And because we want to understand the full context. Okay, we'll look this up. Okay. Asherah pole was a sacred wooden object, sometimes stylized tree used in Canaanite religion to honor the goddess Asherah, consort of El, and controversially, sometimes paired with Yahweh in fringe Israelite cults. These poles were often erected near altars, high places, or groves and symbolized fertility, motherhood, and the tree of life. So here we go again. Remember, Israelites was not supposed to have any other gods but God. I think one and truly. So, of course, this was a straight, deliberate, disobedience to God. And in Deuteronomy 16:21, Yahweh explicitly forbids placing an Asherah pole besides his altar. So 2 Kings 21:7, they record King Manasseh placing one inside of Solomon's temple, an act of profound apostasy. Judges 6 shows Gideon being commanded to tear one down using its wood for a burnt offering. Asherah pole represents more than idolatry. It's a false tree of life, a counterfeit sacred symbol that mimics divine order while leading to spiritual decay. It's a challenge to Yahweh's exclusivity, often paired with Baal worship, and reflects the seductive pull of fertility cults and goddess veneration. Ancient symbols of idols, the Asherah pole explores how these poles function as spiritual counterfeits, drawing people away from conventional truth towards sensuality and self-idolatry. So worshiping oneself. Okay. Elijah confronts Baal's prophets, emphasizing the need to tear down the false altars and restore divine worship. Asherah is Israel's goddess. Okay, come on, let me see. Also symbolized such as the Christmas tree. Okay, so that's something. Wow. Wow. People say that that's one of them. And then they talk about that was a tree where they used to hang the slaves off of as well. So that's what that is about. So we are told Ahab did more to provoke the Lord. She did that as well. So the God of Israel to anger than all the kings of Israel who were before him. So Jezebel was his wife. And he also in 1 Kings 16:33. And Ahab, okay. So now Jezebel was likewise known for her evil actions. She was the daughter of Ithbal, the king of the Sidonians. After her marriage to Ahab, her first recorded action was cutting off the prophets of the Lord. Wow. 1 Kings 18:4. And Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord. And Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them by the 50s in a cave and fed them with bread and water. Wow. So Obadiah was a God-fearing officer in Ahab's court. Noted that Jezebel killed many prophets despite Obadiah's efforts to save them. Has it not been told, my Lord, that what I did when Jezebel killed the prophets of the Lord, how I hid the 100 men of the Lord's prophets by 50s in a cave and fed them with bread and water. So it was during the time of Ahab and Jezebel that Elijah was the prophet in Israel. Satan has had his couple, which was Jezebel and Ahab, on the throne, but God had his man in the field performing miracles and leading a revival against Baal worship. So the 3.5-year drought that they had, that was one of the things that was going on. Prayed for was a part of God's judgment on the wickedness of the nation and its leaders. So you know that was famine. So when Elijah confronted Ahab near the end of the drought, the king said to him, "Is that you troubler of Israel?" But Ahab had it wrong. Elijah was not the one bringing trouble on the land. The prophet corrected the king, "I had not made trouble for Israel, but you and your father's family have. You have abandoned the Lord's commands and have followed the Baals." Yeah, Baal worship. Okay. So God... This is crazy. So after Elijah defeated the prophets of Baal and had them killed at Mount Carmel, Jezebel issued a death threat against him. The queen went on to plot against Naboth and the innocent owner of the vineyard that Ahab had coveted. Okay. So Jezebel had Naboth killed because he refused to sell the vineyard to Ahab. So Jezebel, the wife, went on ahead so she could confiscate the land, had him killed. And she prodded her husband into many other wicked acts. Besides, there was none who sold himself to do what was evil in the sight of the Lord, like Ahab, whom Jezebel, his wife, incited. So Ahab was obviously an Israelite married to these Canaanite people. This is why God said, do not be unequally yoked. Do not be marrying outside, because this is what happens. Ahab's death was predicted by the prophets of Elijah and Micaiah, I think, in 1 Kings 21:19, 22 to 28. Jezebel's gruesome death was also predicted by Elijah in 1 Kings 21:23. True to the prophecy, Ahab was killed in battle with Syria, and later Jezebel was thrown from a tower, and some of her blood scattered on the wall and on the horses, and they trampled her. Then they went to bury her, and they found no more of her than the skull and the feet and the palms of her hands. Just as Elijah had said, the dogs ate Jezebel. So he had prophesied that. So Revelation 2:20, Jezebel's reputation lives on as Jesus speak against the church at Thyatira. But I have this against you, that you tolerate that woman, Jezebel, who calls herself a prophetess, and is teaching and seducing my servants to practice sexual immorality and to eat food sacrificed to idols. The woman's name in Thyatira was probably not literally Jezebel, but her immorality and idolatry and preying upon God's people was very Jezebel-like. So both Ahab and Jezebel were leaders of God's people who forsook the Lord and served other gods. And the royal couple earned a reputation for sin and violence, and they both suffered violent deaths as part of God's judgment on their actions. So when we think about a lot of things, people sit here and talk about God. God is very loving, he is kind, but he is also just, and he is not nothing to play with. So when they sit here and they want to play games with God, a lot of stuff goes on. And I tell people all the time, I know there's a lot going on in this world. And when I look at what happened with the Kirks and these other ones that have passed on, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say what happened to him was right, fair, or just. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am going to say is simply this. Please understand something. If God allowed it, he allowed it. And if he allowed slavery, I don't care if they white, I don't care if they black, I don't care if they rich, poor, or any other. We have to get out of this. Why? Because if God allowed slavery for all those years and oppression and injustice for certain groups of people, and if he allowed one or two other people to go, listen, I'm not going to sit here and argue, question God and all of that back and forth. Because if God allowed it, he allowed it. He allows the good. He allows the bad. If he allowed it, he allowed it. And only we know why he allowed it. Listen, this is it. That's all I got to say. Do I think personally that we're supposed to sit here and be like, oh, well, no. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, well, no, because if that's the case, you know how many slaves have died out of injustice? You know how many people were shot down in the street like a dog and nobody cares? Listen, whether they was right, not right, and it's not to say it like that, but I'm just being honest about the situation. Because what people fail to realize is Jesus, God, the Holy Spirit, they are just people. They are not people pleasers. And we must understand that. They're not people pleasers. So the things that they allow to go on for whatever their reason is, when you sit back and you do the math and you're like, wow. I mean, we see all this wicked, innocent bloods getting killed. We seeing people, these truck drivers being hung all over on these trees. You see, it's a lot of things that are going on. We see victims coming out talking about all of the atrocities they go through. People bash them. But this is what I'm saying. The things that we see in this world that we're okay with or we don't argue down or have a big issue with, but then the things like this that happen that we make such a big deal out of, I'm trying to figure out how. I'm not saying that we're not supposed to be sensitive. I'm not sitting here saying that that was a bad thing that happened to him and his family. No, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not. But what I am going to say is, hey, it has happened to plenty of people. You know how many people, whether they black, white, or whatever, that have all over the world missing, exploited, found dead, shot down, killed innocently all over this world. Listen, whether they were high profile or they were not, God loved them and their lives was just as important to him as everybody else's. So what's the difference in something happening to this person than what has happened to everyone else? Where is the outrage for the regular people on the street? That's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not saying it's good for him. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is God is just. He allows and do things in his own way. And if he allowed it, he allowed it. Like he allowed everything else. He allowed Trump in office again. He allowed all these other things to happen. There's a lot of things we do not like that God has allowed. If he allowed it, listen, we in such outrage, we're crying, we're so upset about this situation when there's so many situations that before this, now, and then after that is coming that we should be really focused and thinking about. Let's keep our minds and heads on and keep it all together. But anyway, we hear a lot about Jezebel. She's talked about a lot in Revelation. She's one of those who, as we can see, like to incite and create issues, drama. So we're going to get into Jezebel, but before we get into Jezebel, we're going to get to the husband, Ahab. Now, Ahab is always near the Jezebel spirit, they said. It is an emasculated and under her control. So this is what Ahab was. He was, in a sense, a man that wasn't a man when it came to his wife. So, command and cast out spirits, Ahab including abdicating leadership, adultery, aggression, angry, bitterness, resentment, breakdown, calling evil good and good evil, childish behavior, clashing conflict, competition, compromise, conditional love, considering God's things trivial, covetousness, degradation, destruction of family priesthood, dirty stories, disobedient, displeased, doubting manhood, drunkenness, emasculation, emotional cripple, unemotional, failure, fearful, scared, fear of getting hurt, fear of women, filth, X-rated movies, following sins of the father, hatred of women, heavy-spirited, homosexuality, impotence, inability to designate authority, joblessness, laziness, lack of confidence, leaving things of God to wife, lethargy, sluggishness, lord of jobs, lord of sports, lust, liking sensual women, lust of material things, macho spirit, manipulation, misunderstandings, moody, pouting, murder, no order, chaos, no peace, no unity, overloading wife, perverse spirit, pornography, pride, a quitter, rebellious children, rejection, separation and divorce, stoicism, passiveness, sullen, workaholic, worship of enterprise and success. And that is where we end off at. So if they have any of those type of traits, I'm going to read some more because there's a lot. And these are things we need to be praying against. Remember, Ahab is the man. So it's emasculation spirit. It's not taking control. It's not taking responsibility. It's not being the head. It's allowing, the woman to take over, to do everything. And this is what we see a lot now, because when we look at a lot of situations that's going on, especially with the homosexuality, because they bring that up, that is a spirit of men not wanting to have responsibility, men wanting to be women, men wanting to, have the traits of women and all of these type of things. So when you look at this, we're seeing this throughout the world. So the spirit of Ahab is a concept rooted in charismatic deliverance. Oh, no, let me get to the core truth. Ahab, never mind. Passivity and fearfulness. Ahab avoided confrontation and was easily manipulated, especially by his wife Jezebel. So that's one of the things. Compromise with evil. He tolerated idolatry and built altars to Baal, forsaking his covenant to faithfulness to God. So this is horrific. He allowed her to kill prophets, to do all kind of stuff, to worship Baal, which was an abomination. And he sat there and he did nothing. He didn't open his mouth. He knew God was God. He knew who he was. He had a relationship with him, obviously, at one point. But you allowed all of this. How did you sit back? And this is the passivity. And I seen someone put up a passage where they said not saying nothing, being passive about things and being indifferent. It's just the same as not doing anything, meaning allowing it to happen and not saying and trying to help the situation. So if you see someone getting hurt, picked on, and you sit there and you allow the injustice, you don't say anything, it's just as bad. When you look at the laws that's set up in the land, if you are with someone who's doing some and you don't step in, you go to jail too. So this is where that comes from, even though they take it and twist it sometimes. But emotionalism and self-pity. When denied Naboth's vineyard, Ahab was sulking and he withdrew. Avoidance of responsibility. He blamed Elijah for Israel's troubles rather than owning his own sin. We see that a lot. Disregard for spiritual authority. Ahab ignored prophetic warnings and pursued his own desires. The traits, there are so about 28 signs and traits of the Ahab. I kind of went through those. Ahab and Jezebel, they kind of go together, symbolic of a dynamic duo. Ahab's spirit also coexists because usually they're the passive one and the other one is the toxic one. That's like the head of the group and the head of the snake, and the rest of them follow behind. So you see someone doing wrong, and instead of stopping it or saying something, you join in and you help. And instead of, you see somebody getting bashed, you sit back, you say nothing, you don't do that. So Ahab relinquishes authority. Jezebel seizes control, often through manipulation or seduction. This dynamic is unpacked with passive men and controlling women. The Ahab and Jezebel, which explores how these spirits operate in relationships and communities. And we see a lot of that. Even though on TV, we see that a lot of the women are running things and the men are behind. And it's not supposed to be that way. There's supposed to be a sharpening of one another. This one up, that one down, but they both are side by side working together. See, so these people just don't get it because they want one to be here, one to be, it's not supposed to, they're supposed to coexist. When one is up, the other's down. They're supposed to, weakness and strengths together work at, you see what I'm saying? But a lot of people don't know how to do that. So deliverance from the Ahab spirit involves repentance and spiritual renewal, acknowledge passivity and reclaiming godly authority, establishing boundaries, refusing manipulation and standing firm and true. Fear of God over fear of man. This is the main one because he feared her and everyone else more than he feared God, prioritizing divine obedience over approval seeking. A lot of people pleasing be going on. People don't like to be the oddball out. They don't, because it comes with a lot. When you speak out, when you say stuff, usually you're the martyr, usually you're the one that goes through a lot, and people just don't understand that. But when you are strong within yourself and you know that you're going to stick with this no matter what, because guess what? In the end, one, it's right, it's truth. God is behind it because God is with truth and right. He's not with, now don't get me wrong, he has compassion and all of that, but he's with the truth. He's not with the lies. He's not. And he's on the side that is just, but he does have compassion either way on either side. That's how God works. Practical steps for healing and restoration and confronting these spirits in the personal and relational text. Discernment and self-reflection. If you've been wondering whether this spirit is influencing you or someone else, those are the traits. You look out for the traits, whether it's in yourself or with other people. Examine the patterns of passivity, avoidance, emotional manipulation. For those who struggle with people pleasing, fear of confrontation, dives into how this spirit can easily, subtly be sabotaged, spiritual growth and relational integrity. This is how people manipulate you. This is how people lie, they cheat, they steal, they get over on you. Why? Because of stuff like this. Because you're not standing up for yourself. God didn't make us people's doormat. Yes, we're supposed to love people. Yes, we're supposed to have compassion for people. But we're not supposed to allow them to mismanage, misuse, and mistreat us. Because God gives us a voice. He gives us authority over ourselves, over our spirit, over our mind, over our body. And the authority that you have within yourself, within the household, within whatever it is your demographics, the power he has given you, that's what you're supposed to be walking in authority of. That's what he gave you, and you're supposed to use that. You're not supposed to let anyone take that from you. Now, don't get me wrong, you're supposed to know when to back off. You see what I'm saying? When to use it and when not to. You got to talk to God and ask him, sometimes you have to let God handle the battles because you might handle it in the wrong way. You might be like, listen, Lord, I don't know if I'm going to handle, and that might be the best way to do it. Don't want to be too, And for a broader spiritual thing, how you stand against Ahab, it's for these spirits operate in culture and ecclesiastical settings, meaning how believers can resist them through truth, love, and spiritual authority. So we gotta look, you know what I'm saying? Because this takes a dive into spirituality, subtly sabotaging your spiritual growth and relational integrity. So you want to not be too, you know what I'm saying? You want to say something, you want to take stands, don't get me wrong. But you don't want to overdo it. So you got to have some balance to these things, and that's what that is all about. Okay, so now we're going to get into Jezebel. Okay. I'm going to start. Okay, Jezebel is far more than a historical queen. She's become a potent archetype and spiritual symbol across biblical, prophetical, and esoterical traditions and, theology. She represents a manipulative, controlling force that opposes divine order, seduces through deception, and undermines prophetic authority. It's not gendered, though, meaning it could be a man or a woman having either one of these, whether it's Ahab, passivity, or Jezebel being just controlling, though it often manifests through feminine archetypes of domination and seduction. Let's break it down. The Queen Jezebel, we hear about her all the time. Jezebel was a Phoenician princess and a wife of King Ahab. 1 Kings 16:21. She promoted Baal worship, prosecuted prophets, orchestrated Naboth's murder to seize the vineyard. We already knew that. Spiritual rebellion, her defiance of Yahweh, and manipulations of power made her a symbol of spiritual corruption. The New Testament, Revelation 2:20, warns against the woman Jezebel who misleads the believers into sexual immorality and idolatry, interpreted by many as recurring spiritual influence. Traits of Jezebel. Here we go. Controlling and manipulative. Seeks dominance through charm, seduction, or intimidation. Unrepentant and proud. Refuse correction, often cloaked in false humility or spiritual pretense. Deceptive and divisive, sows confusion, undermines leadership, and isolates victims. Spiritual, seductive, draws people into idolatry, false prophecy, or emotional entanglement. Wow. Modern manifestations emphasize how relentless and warlike this spirit can be, refusing to surrender even after defeat. Okay. So now, usually, she'll infiltrate congregation, often through charismatic but unaccountable leadership. She will have ties to Jezebel and Baal worship and broader demonic systems. Perfect for understanding her role in cosmic rebellion. We're going to get into some more of her traits. Hold on, give me 1 second. Because I know I had some more of her traits that I was looking at. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Okay, this is control. Okay, Jezebel called control, and she embraces the spirit of deception. She's a ruling spirit. She has pride, rebellion, and perversion. She's always near a person or persons with an Ahab spirit, whom this person she controls. So she's the one dominating, and they're just the little flunkies. And Jezebel control renunciate. Oh, okay. So there's so many traits of Jezebel. Okay. So now she's accusations. She has aggression. She always is associated with Ahab. She's anti-submissive. She's arrogant, attention-seeking, backbiting, bedroom, blackmail, beguiling, belittling, bickering, bondage, brash, bossy, charming, condemnation, conditional love, confusion, conniving, contention, contentious, complaining, controlling spirits, counterfeit spiritually, criticizing, deception, delusion, demanding, determined maneuvers, discord, disruption, dissatisfaction, distrust, disunity. Let me see what else. Dominance and control, double-mindedness, doubt, emotional outbursts, false guilt, false love, fear. She's a female hardness, fierce determination, finger pointing, forsaken in protection, frigidity, frustration, hypnotic control, inability to grieve or receive, to give or receive, indecision, inhospitable, insecurity, intellectualism, intimidation, irresponsibility, jealousy, Jezebel, lawlessness, lust, lying, manipulative, mind control, mistrust, moody, murder, nagging, overindulgent, perversion, sexual and spiritual, philosophy, pornography, possessiveness, pouting, pride, projected guilt, promiscuity, quick-tempered, rebellion, retaliation, self-defeating, sharp-tempered, sharp-tongued, slander, strife, turmoil, unbelief, vanity, whining, witchcraft, sorcery, worldly wisdom. So these are the many traits of the Jezebel. Remember, Jezebel and Ahab, because remember, Ahab is always somewhere with Miss Jezebel, and the reason that is because Ahab needs Jezebel because Ahab just ain't got no backbone. So whenever you see somebody ganging up on folks, that might be what the reason is. They might have a whole lot of that going on. So now that we discussed them, there's another one that we often hear, which is called the spirit of infirmity. Now, this spirit has a lot more stuff to it than I ever thought as well. And we're going to get into it because we've never really heard of it. And remember, with all of these things, you have to see the cycles. Well, it's the thoughts, it's the habits, it's the patterns, and it's the cycles that you go through, and you'll see them. And you have to be able, whether it's yourself and others, if you have those traits, ask God to help you. You got to cancel. You got to renounce. You cancel, you revoke, renounce, denounce, you divorce it, you bind it, and you cast it into the pit of hell or to the abyss, and you ask God, to help you. You list all of the things, and you repent and ask God, and you find the scriptures that go along with the opposite of what God says these traits are, and you work from there as to, praying. You can pray fast and ask God to help you. And be mindful, because we all have some of the traits, I would say. We may not have them all. You see what I'm saying? Or all back to back. Whatever spirits, because we're here in a world filled with iniquity. We were born into it. We all have iniquity. We all have sin. We all have trespass. We all have transgress. So we're not going to sit here and make like we're perfect. No, this is not just about me, you. It's about all of us as a whole. So we want to be healed. We want to be delivered. We want to know how to get healed, how to get delivered. But we first have to know what it is, what it looked like, what the traits are in order to do so. So now here we are. Now, the spirit of infirmity, because I thought it was just about sickness, because that's what I always used to hear coming up, as I just thought it was always a physical affliction type situation. But there's more to the spirit of infirmity than just that. So when we see the first See, the spirit of infirmity is a term drawn from Luke 13:11, where Jesus heals a woman who had been bound for 18 years by a disabling spirit. This is what this is about. This isn't just poetic language. It's an actual assertion. Some physical afflictions may have spiritual roots. You see people doing, looking certain ways. Particularly demonic oppression. It's a concept that resonates deeply with spiritual governance and cosmic order, especially when viewed through the lens of healing and deliverance and divine authority, because this is what we're supposed to have. So Luke 13 and beyond. Jesus identifies a woman, condition caused by a spirit of infirmity, Greek pneuma estasias. Not merely a medical issue, he declares, woman, thou art loose from thine infirmity, and she is instantly healed. Jesus later says, should not this woman, the daughter of Abraham, who Satan has kept bound for 18 long years, be set free on the Sabbath, linking her to affliction directly to satanic bondage. And this is what diseases, or whether it's being possessed or having traits of these demons, these, for whatever type spirits they are, these traits, character traits, flaws, whatever they want to call them. And a lot of people talk about mental health, and this is a lot where that comes from, because really it's the spirit. It's the spirit realm. It's the iniquity. It's the sin. It's the disease or the curse that's upon you, your life, your bloodline. Excuse me. This passage affirms that healing can require spiritual deliverance, not just physical treatment. And a lot of times it's usually stuff that the doctors do not understand. And we're going to get into that too, because I was digging deeper as we were doing this, looking into how diseases, specific ones, are really spiritual. So we're going to get into that after I still got to do a lot on that. And until I can, get some of this. But anyway, and I was supposed to continue with the making of a priesthood with Exodus. I still haven't finished that. I've been behind. I got to catch up. But anyway, how to recognize the spirit of infirmity and cast it. Okay. An illness is spiritually rooted. It emphasizes the need for Holy Spirit-led discernment, especially when symptoms persist despite medical intervention. Understand spirit of infirmity dives into authority. Believers have to confront and rebuke the spirit, drawing from dominion, theology, and practical ministry. Okay, the spirit of infirmity, a powerful teacher. Wait. Wait. No. Okay, highlights how Jesus consistently casts out spirits that cause sickness. But we're going to get into that because it's more than reinforcing the idea that healing and deliverance are intertwined. Disease, right? God didn't give us that. So, okay. Going to get more into the spirit of infirmity because it has more. Spirit of infirmity can have alcohol, allergies, asthma, arthritis, back problems, back pain, bedwetting, cancer, chickenpox, shingles virus, colds, diabetes, depression, drugs, ear infections, epilepsy, Epstein-Barr virus, fever, gluttony, hardening of arteries, hay fever, heart attack, heart problems, disease, high blood pressure, infections, inheritance, lupus, meaning inherited, lupus, memory, migraines, nerves, skin, strokes, ulcers, viral infections. So these are basically like any and every type of ailment, whether it's something you can pronounce medically, but from what I've understood, that's not the only spirit of infirmity has other traits as well, that not just about, I believe it's death, it's poverty, is also involved. I think vagabond, rejection, what was the other one? Orphan spirit. So it has a lot of other ones that we don't even notice, and the reason is because spirit of death, the mental disorders, like I was just talking about, like they have the book with the psychology disorders, the autisms, the this, the that, the different one, what is the ADHD? They always talk about somebody has, okay, these can be linked to a lot of this spiritual stuff. This is what this is. And we need to cancel. We need to bind, revoke, renounce, denounce, divorce, destroy, cast into the pit of hell, back into the abyss from which it came. Why? Because all of these spirits are ailments. They are things that are curses. They are not blessings in our lives. And either they were passed down, which we see hereditarily, if they were in our family already, so we were just born into it. This is what this is about. It causes us to leave here, to live sickly lives, to not be at our full potential, to not live the way God originally intended us to, energy-wise, mind-wise, authority-wise, anything-wise that is in the right mind, in the right health, this is what this is all about. So when we look at these things, this is what it is, okay? So I broke it down. I'm trying to think because it was some more. I'm trying to see where my notes was because I know I had put, where did I write it down at? Because I had wrote some stuff down and I don't know where I put it. Hold on, give me 1 second. And it is also, hold on. All right. Let me see. Ooh, it's an eye. I'm looking. Give me 1 second, guys. I have got to find. All right, no, it's not in there. So it must be. on one of these because I was looking at it the other day and I had found some stuff and I wanted to put it in here, but I'm going to have to take more of a deep dive. I am into it because I got to find out where I wrote it. Oh, crap. Give me 1 second. Ooh, okay. I didn't know. This one? No, I don't think it was this one. I think it was the other one. Okay. Okay. Not that one. Let me see. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Did I do this to myself? Am I being here bugging out? Is it this one? It might be this one. Is it? Oh, I don't know. Nope, I don't see it. So maybe this one. If not, then I'll have to wait because I can't find it right this second. Ew, wait. No. No. Oh, crap. It's looking like I can't find it. That is so not good. Okay, I know what I'm going to have to do because I did this before. This is how I originally got the info on it. Wait a minute. It might be this one. Is it? No. No. Okay, so now I know it ain't any of these. Wait. Is that book that I had? I have so much of these books. It's ridiculous. And when I get started, I just be like, oh, okay, so we're going to look it up. Don't worry. We're going to look it up and we're going to go through it because I want to let you see. What is it? Sickness and disease. Hold on, let me put this. I wish I could find that notebook that had it on there. Spiritual affections. Okay, hold on. I'm putting it in here because I was looking it up the other day because certain illnesses are directly linked to spiritual. Okay. Foundational concept, disease as an energetic and misalignment. The spiritual dimension of sickness and disease is a profound and often overlooked layer of human experience. Across traditions from biblical healing to esoteric medicine, illness is not merely a biological malfunction, but a manifestation of deeper spiritual dissonance. Think of it as the body echoing what the soul cannot contain. Okay, many spiritual teachers interpret disease as dis-ease or disruption in harmony between body, mind, and spirit. Emotional trauma, unforgiveness, bitterness, fear, and rebellion are often cited as spiritual roots of physical affliction. This is what I wanted. The spiritual cause of disease and how to heal it. Explores this beautifully through paraphernalia. Oh, this is a book showing how the healing begins with inner alignment and divine connection. Biblical and charismatic perspectives. In Luke 13, okay, yeah. Spiritual illness by day. Oh, no. Okay. Interact with help, both divine. Okay, this one is a book, but it's unpacking how spiritual bondage can manifest as chronic physical suffering. Also, there are spiritual realities at work in sickness and disease that offers a theological reflection on how unseen forces, both divine and demonic, interact with our health. Signs of spiritual attack versus natural illness. Not all sickness is spiritual, but some is, I believe, yeah. Discernment is key, I believe. Okay, 7 shocking signs your sickness is spiritual attack outlines how sudden, unexplained, or reoccurring illnesses may signal spiritual warfare. These include illnesses that resist medical treatment, patterns of affliction tied to emotional trauma, sicknesses that coincide with spiritual breakthroughs and or ministry. Pay attention. Root causes and healing pathways. Henry Wright work is seminal in this space. The spiritual root work of disease by Henry. Okay. They talk about framework where disease are linked to specific spiritual issues like fear causing heart problems or bitterness leading to autoimmune disorders. He emphasizes repentance, forgiveness, and restoration of divine order as keys to healing. Esoteric and symbolic interpretations spiritual disorder, how to get infected with diseases. This was how spiritual disorders like envy, pride, or lust create energetic imbalances that open up the door to disease. This aligns with the shamanic and, traditions where illnesses are seen as a message from the soul urging transformation. So we're not going to talk about those because, there's good, but at the end of the day, I'm not trying to dabble in sorcery and stuff. But as we can see, it mentioned envy, lie, pride, lust. It mentioned unforgiveness. So, and they have it where, let me see, where they're linked. Link diseases or disorders named by spiritual. Let's see what this says now. We wanna link them because I was trying to name them like there's different ones. Okay, this is what it is. Spiritual naming of diseases and orders. You'll find comprehensive catalog in spiritual causes and meaning of diseases, conditions A through Z. It lists conditions like, okay, is this a book? Okay. Arthritis is suppressed anger or resentment. Asthma, fear of expressing oneself or feeling smothered. Cancer is deep hurt, long-standing resentment or guilt. Diabetes, emotional emptiness, lack of sweetness in life. Heart disease, emotional isolation, lack of joy or love. Skin disorders like, acne, different things. Anxiety, fear of being vulnerable or exposed. I suffer with that. Yes, I have issues with the eczema. And actually, when I looked that up, they said it used to be called leprosy, or it was a form of leprosy, which was, what was it? Eczema, skin disorders. Yes, acne, those, I think because it was dysmorphia or something like that. These interpretations suggest that healing requires not just medicine, but emotional release, forgiveness, and spiritual realignment. So I'm going on my healing journey. I told you guys. So I've been juicing. You saw I had the little juice. I'm still juicing. I'm still trying to go through, for my mental, because we're getting older. So that, and because God is like, listen. And we can't expect to be putting, these, especially they told us about eating death. When you eat death, meaning human flesh or meat or whatever, you're eating death. So when you eat to live, you're going to eat life, which is things that are full of life, like fruits and vegetables, which they cost the arm and a leg here. We already know. And on top of that, because I tell people, you can kill yourself for 99 cents at McDonald's. You better watch that list Celestial put out, because they say folks is eating humans. And honey, that's what got me scared with the meat too. But anyway, mental health and spiritual archetypes. This is another thing. Invokes intercession of whose legacy links mental disorders to spiritual suffering and divine healing. They often called upon for anxiety and depression and trauma. This offers another ritualized path to healing through prayer, emphasizing spiritual restoration over clinical diagnosis. So these are different things. Sicknesses as spiritual warfare. This is what they are. Powerful prayers against sicknesses. There's books, frames illness as a battleground where spirits of infirmity, affliction, and generation curses must be cast out through prayer and divine authority. Powerful prayers against strange sicknesses goes further, addressing strange sicknesses, unexplained or recurring conditions as signs of spiritual attack or witchcraft. So this is what we need to be paying attention to, because this explains a lot. Depression, awakening, and the soul's journey. Depression and spiritual awakening reframes depression not as pathology, but as a threshold, a descent into shadow that precedes spiritual rebirth. It's a powerful lens for understanding emotional suffering as part of transformation. These other ones, they author rituals specific to ailments linking disorders that block energy centers. Oh, that's the chakra movement. That's that new age. But chronic fatigue, they say, spiritual cause of disease, thought-provoking guide, which connects chronic fatigue to lack of purpose or soul exhaustion. Wow, digestive issues, inability to digest life experiences. They also said one with the IBS and these other ones that were linked to not being able to let things go. So if people are having digestive issues, that may be another one. Liver problems, repressed anger and or bitterness. So, but we can dive into unresolved trauma, emotional suppression, and how it manifests into physical disease, which is, what a lot of people, we see them leaving here from some type of, either cancer or whatever, and we see them in the bloodlines. So this would have a lot of explanation with that. I didn't mean to get into this, but because we were on the spirit of infirmity and we have all heard of that so many times before, it also is linked to poverty, to death. I was speaking about that, or early death, which a lot of people, because when you're sick, you don't live a long life. You see what I'm saying? It tends to cut your life short. And the devil loves that, because I believe there's something with that, where they take your energy for us. There's something with that. But anyway, won't delve into that too much, but we get the gist of it. But please, people, we got to be taking care of ourselves, each other. We have to be living, because I know this journey of healing is something, because I'm always finding out something new, something that I didn't even know about. And I'm seeing like, well, dang, it's just so much. And I'm like, Lord, because once I feel like I'm trying to heal from one thing, here comes more. I'm like, Lord, excuse me. This is just too much, but I know I can't do it. Meaning me by myself. I know through him I can do all things, and I need him to help me do these things, because I can't possibly carry all of this. The stuff that you find out on the daily is just so much more to this life, because whether it was Erica Mukisa, Life is Spiritual, and it sure is. And so we just went through these, and I want to read today's daily word, the one that my little devotional. It says, living in darkness. Jesus says, I am the light of the world. And I was looking this up too. I got to do a whole thing on this, but it's going to be later. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. And that is John 8:12. There is no other way to see or be aware other than Christ. Yeah, because we don't know a lot of things. There is no light of reason but Christ, and no way to see the world as it truly is, except through Christ. When he says, I am the light of the world, he is saying to those who don't walk with him are darkened in their understanding and in their hearts. Their minds are inaccurate because of the lies they haven't accepted, and their hearts are likewise broken. So, with those around us describe us as a light in their world, Christ's light within us should shine for others to see and not to be hidden or concealed. If we act like the men of this world, talk like them, and hide our Christ-like differences, what impact will our lives have? The light of life shining within us is to be a blessing to the world. So the God of light, I can do nothing apart from you. Please set me ablaze and make me a beacon of your truth and godliness. So with that, I am going to leave you guys and hope that this word was eye-opening one, because I'm telling you, every time I'm like, Lord, I be thinking I be knowing stuff, and I be like, dang, I don't be knowing nothing. I be like, you think you know a little bit about a little something, you be like, dang, I don't be knowing nothing. Yeah, his way, he knows way more than us. His ways are not our ways and thoughts. No, we couldn't possibly outthink God, fight God, none of that. Jesus, the Holy Spirit, we might as well just go and sit down there. Go sit your little self down somewhere, have a little seat, and just chill on out. Ask him to help you, show you, and do that like that, because that's about it. Because when we think we know, we don't. The moment I think I know something, I'm like, ooh, here goes some more stuff I don't. So the moment I think I got the most money, the prettiest, this, not hardly, because there's always something else out there that's, so we just got to be happy and be thankful, grateful every day. What we got. And be thankful we ain't what we used to be. Be thankful for where we are, and thankful that he's going to move us forward one way or the other, and just be waiting on him and working with him to do that. So we are bruised and not broken. We are here going through this thing called life in these human bodies with this spirit of God that he breathed life into us. And we are made such an image of him, and it's just such something. But I be like, Lord, why you send me down here to be walking around here and got to be like, why? Because being here and not being up there is a mess sometimes, especially with the world and everybody in it. But we got to be here, love one another, and try to make it, do it right. But honey, I tell you, it be rough sometimes. Folk be going through some changes, and it just be what it's gonna be. But God got it, and we just gotta keep on trucking, and we gotta keep on keeping on, honey. Just get back up and keep going, and just ask God to help you every step of the way, honey. Cause that's all I can do. Cause life be life, honey. But be blessed, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this message. I hope it gave you some insight. I don't ask for any money or anything on the channel. I just ask that you share it, like, share, comment, comment and subscribe. Excuse me, y'all. Whew, yes, because, honey, unlike y'all, I've been having some issues too, and that's why I've been doing this too. But anyway, the God got it. And I'm more than a conqueror. And I'm healed by his stripes. And that's just that. Whatever's going on, it's just going. Yeah, it got to be gone. We got to work through some things in here, and it's got to go. But bruised and not broken, we are here because we go through so much, honey. We bend, we fold, we go back and forth, but we don't break unless he wants us to. And that's just to put us back together. So, and build back better than what was, because the ladder is always greater than the former. So I love you guys. Be blessed. Like I said, like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel just so other people can get out there. And please make sure when you're praying and fasting and in your word, make sure you're praying the scriptures that are against whatever these things. Because whatever Satan says you are, I love the way, what's her name put it. She said, whenever Satan says she is, was it Jacqueline Carr? Whenever Satan tells her she is something, she tells him, I'm not that. And whenever he tells her she's not, she tells him, I am that. Why? Because there's always opposite of what God says. So we got to put what God says and not what the devil, not what the world or anybody else says or thinks about us. And we have to get up every day. We have to love our lives. We have to love ourselves, take care of ourselves. Why? Because we only have one life to live here. And we got to make sure that we are going to be accountable and answer for our own life and our own way of living here. You see what I'm saying? Because no one's going to hold our hand and no one's going to stand before God for us. We have to do that for ourselves, not our spouse, not our job, not our friends, not our family, not our parents, not our kids, nobody. When you leave here by yourself. Usually when you come here by yourself. Unless you're a twin or something like that. But when you leave here, you leave by yourself. So you have to make sure you're doing, no matter what else is going on in this world, you got to find your purpose and your assignment and do what you need to do for you and God. And that's it. Because nothing else at the end of the day is going to matter. That's all that's going to matter, because this whole world is going to pass away one day. God's going to come back and he's going to rearrange, change everything, and everything's going to be done. And it's going to be, and the only things that's going to last and stand and matter is the things, whatever your heavenly what treasures are. That's the only thing going to last. Everything else going to be gone. So we can build our lives here if we want to, because none of this is going to stay. It's not going to matter. After a while, it's going to be all said and done. It's going to be gone. And I was like, I don't want to. That's why he said, don't store up your treasures here on earth where the moth and thief could take them. Store them up in heaven. Thank you, Lord, for giving me that, because I be having a hard time remembering verses. So he just bring them back. He told me and tell me what he got to say. I'm telling, because I be forgetting sometimes. I'm getting old. My brain be going through some things, and it be a lot of information I have to hold on to. But I thank God for just working, being patient and working with me every day. I tell the Lord, I thank you, because, honey, I'll be a mess. It's just be a lot. But I love y'all. Y'all be blessed. And we are bruised and not broken. We are going to continue. We going to make it. You hear me? We ain't got no choice. I love y'all later.